Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Study General Studies with Lukmaan IAS for building comprehensive knowledge. GS paper 2 and 4 will be taken by S. Ansari and other papers will be covered by renowned faculties. Live classes are as effective as offline classes. The classes are highly interactive in nature. Your doubts and queries will be addressed and there will be dictation of notes. In the last 10 years, Lukmaan IAS has set up a niche in the field of UPSC guidance.
Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. We are going to have the Hindu analysis of 5th June 2022. So yes, it is International Environment Day also. So in today's The Hindu newspaper, these are the important articles for our examination. First of all, we'll understand the context of these articles and their relevance to our examination syllabus. First of all, mains related on FAQ page number 11, are the fears of stagflation impacting markets? So we'll understand the meaning of stagflation here and whether the let's say fear of stagflation in Indian economy and world economy, it is impacting the market sentiments. This is analyzed here from GS3 paper economy part. Then surrogacy law faces challenge in the court. We are talking about one let's say case in Delhi High Court, and it is talking about, let's say, the surrogacy law that has been amended in 2021, and along with that why this particular law is challenged, you should understand and know the provisions of that surrogacy law. Okay, so the provisions are important for our examination. Social justice part, GS2 paper, we are expecting question on surrogacy also. Also GS1 paper, what are the, let's say, issues with surrogacy in society part, there can be question related to that. Then housing scheme lags in urban areas. The particular housing scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana PMAY urban, so which was launched in 2015, and it is lagging due to certain reasons that are mentioned here in the article. And yes, there is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana rural also. Two components are there of the scheme. This rural component was started later, 1 year after, and but let's say it is having good, we can say that, implementation as compared to urban component. Fine. Then uncertainty over accessible India campaign deadline. So accessible India campaign is very important for those divyang people to access the public infrastructure, and we can say the government websites, and along with that the transport, like public transport, we can say, to making them divyang people friendly. So for that purpose this campaign was there, and there is deadline in June month, this month of the year, for this campaign. So whether this will be further extended, already it was extended for 2 years due to COVID-19 as deadline was not met. So what are these, let's say, objectives, and we can say how much implementation has happened under this accessible India campaign. Social justice part, GS2 paper, there can be question. Now in prelims part, you can see IISc scientists report mini proteins that can fight COVID-19. So yes, this year's paper, prelims paper, you may have seen up till now. And yes, you can see now UPSC is asking questions related to COVID. 2-3 questions were directly related to COVID. So yes, those developments which are relevant to COVID, they are important. Okay. Then OPEC and OPEC Plus, there is one article on OPEC Plus on page number 12 talking about this let's say organization of petroleum exporting countries, and which are these OPEC Plus countries. Basics from international development or IR section you should be knowing about. There is one article on magazine supplement page number 6, fossils trail in Khonmo, Kashmir. Okay, so it is important from geography perspective, because the kind of fossils that are found here are of, we can say, marine origin. And how these marine fossils are found there, the Tethys Sea mentioned in this article, it is relevant to our continental drift theory that we learn in our let's say geography section. So we will try to find out details of this particular location. Corbevax gets nod as COVID-19 booster dose, and this will be the first such, we can say, heterologous booster dose to get the nod here. Corbevax can be received by the people who have already received 2 doses of Covishield, either Covishield or Covaxin, so they can get this booster dose. So this is good development that for the first time a heterologous vaccine has got the approval here. Fine. So let us go in details. First one, are fears of stagflation impacting markets? Yes. So let us understand first of all the meaning of stagflation. See, there are two terms here. Stagflation means stagnancy plus inflation. Stagnancy is here basically we are talking about stagnant economic growth, and when there is stagnant or low economic growth or declining economic growth, what happens is there is loss of jobs, there will be unemployment, so high unemployment, and at the same time there is high inflation. In such situation we can say it is stagflation, right? So yes, the slowdown in the economic activity in turn leads to businesses to shed jobs, and the resultant situation is termed as stagflation. Okay, so we all know that the three aspects of any economy, or let's say concerns of any economy are related to, we can say, to access the health of economy. First one, economic output measured by GDP, so economic growth. Second, level of unemployment, and third one, inflation. So on the basis of these three indicators, the health of economy can be easily gauged or understood. And just now we talked about the stagflation. Now how does this stagflation manifest? Now basically the term, you should know that whenever there is economic growth, so it will result into high inflation, and where is decline in economic growth, there will be, we can say, reduced inflation or deflation also. So in such situation, in this particular situation, there is declining growth but high inflation. This was contrasting situation first observed during oil shocks of early 1970s. So US first faced this stagflation during the oil shocks of early 1970s, when embargo led to oil producers cartel OPEC caused the price of oil, let's say crude oil, to almost quadruple in a period of just 6 months. So because of that, what happened is the input cost increased. So it is cost push inflation, and little can be done when there is cost push inflation, because that will result into lower economic growth, as there is no demand in the economy. There is no demand in the economy. This is the situation. Now yes, what has sparked the latest concern about stagflation? Yes, we know that there was already COVID-19 pandemic going on, and because of that decline economic activities, then slowly the world economy was starting to recover from this pandemic, and suddenly now there is war. Okay, so Ukraine war is going on, so that has also affected the present situation and dampened the economic growth not only in India but around the world. Okay, so with the prices of commodities ranging from oil and gas to food grains, edible oils, fertilizers are surging sharply in the wake of this conflict, authorities face an uphill battle to contain inflation that is now less a function of demand and almost entirely caused by supply factors that are far harder to manage. So cost push inflation is very hard to manage, and because of that we can say that recently central banks of different countries including India has increased the interest rate so as to control the money supply, credit creation, and somehow control this inflation levels. Okay, so to some extent it is going to dampen the economic growth, but the government needs to work on the fiscal front also, so that the input costs remain in a control. Okay, so that it is not largely impacting the inflation levels. Okay, now surrogacy law faces challenge in the court. So simply we should understand the provisions in the surrogacy law are too much extreme. What are these conditions or criteria? Who can opt for surrogacy in India under this Surrogacy Regulation Act 2021? This was introduced to curb unethical practices related to issues such as sex selection and exploitation of surrogate mothers, with the provisions for jail term in case of violations. Now who can opt for, let's say under the act, a couple can opt for surrogacy only on medical grounds and should produce certificates of eligibility. Okay, Then the couple should have been married for 5 years and not have living child. Then the surrogate mother has to be close relative of the couple, a married woman with the child of her own and the aged between 25 to 35. These are the strict conditions. Though the law allows single women to resort to surrogacy, she has to be the widow or divorcee between the age of 35 to 45. That means single unmarried women, they are not allowed to, we can say, have the child through surrogacy, and single men are also not eligible. So basically the surrogacy is very much restricted and commercial surrogacy is not being promoted here, and the focus here is on rights of the surrogate mother rather than, we can say, the rights of all women who wants to opt for surrogacy. ये सारी चीज़ें आपको पता होनी चाहिए. यहाँ पे जो couple है, the couple should have let's say a child of their own. Though the law allows a single woman to choose surrogacy, she has to be widow and ये सारे criteria है यहाँ पर. ठीक है. So because of this, many, let's say, women who do not want to get pregnant but they want child. Okay, because yes, pregnancy result into lot of physical and mental trauma. Also it leads to, we can say, the work hours loss, work days loss, and because of that what happens is the the work profile is also affected. ये सारी चीज़ें हैं, और you can see that the women are also becoming more and more competitive in the corporate sector, and therefore they want such option. They want such option and they can easily exercise that option through surrogacy. So ये सारा देखते हैं कि आगे कोर्ट क्या बोलता है. Court has asked the comments from the central government on this case here. Then housing scheme lags in urban areas. We are talking about two schemes, Pradhan Mantri Awas Urban and Pradhan Mantri Awas Rural. So urban is lagging more. You can see here it was initiated in 2015 with the target of construction of 1.2 crores. But latest number shows that only 60 lakh units have been completed to the date. Okay, so this is almost 50% less. You can see that ग्रामीण में जो है completion rate 67.72 का है, while urban का जो है वो 50% completion rate है. Now why less in urban? In urban areas, issues such as lack of clear titles and other land documents tend to crop up, and along with that the pandemic has also substantially affected, we can say, that the completion rate under these schemes. Then in addition to that, this scheme is implemented in a share, let's say funds are shared in 60 as 40 between central and state government, and some of the states like Chhattisgarh and West Bengal, they are not able to provide the funds for implementation of this scheme, and therefore the implementation is lagging in those states. This is the situation. Okay. Then uncertainty over Accessible India campaign. So why we are saying that? Because the last date of implementation of this campaign is June 2022. The campaign, which was launched in 2015, aimed at making proportion of government buildings, transport and website accessible to the persons with disability by the deadlines of 2017, 18 and 2019 respectively. But the deadline, let's say, was extended first to 2020 and then again to 2022, and still, let's say, the target is not achieved. For example, we can say the example, only 8.73% of buses fully accessible as against the target of 25%. But yes, all 35 international airports are accessible, and all A and B categories of railway stations too are accessible to the Divyang people here. Okay, so this data is important about scheme. You should be aware what is, let's say, this particular campaign seeks to do. Yes. Now, IISc scientists report mini proteins that can fight COVID-19. So this is important development, and the scientists from IISc have filed the patent here. And what is this particular, let's say, development? Scientists in IISc have reported new class of artificial peptides or mini proteins which they hope will fight COVID-19 by rendering viruses inactive. How it works? The working is important. Yes, while blocking the entry of certain viruses into cells, they will also clump the virus particles together to reduce infection levels. See what happens in, let's say, when the virus is like COVID-19 virus entering into the human cell. These scientists used mini protein called SIH5 to target the interaction between the spike protein of the virus and ACE2 protein in human cells. See this, there was question in last year 2021 prelims examination on ACE2 receptor binding area, we can say that, on human cells, where this COVID-19 virus is attaching to human cells. This S protein is a trimer, the complex of 3 identical polypeptides. Each polypeptide contains RBD, receptor binding domain, that binds to this ACE2 receptor on the host cell surface. This interaction facilitates viral entry into cell. How this virus enters into the cell? This. Now what this particular mini protein do? Yes, SIH5 mini protein was designed to block the binding of RBD to human ACE2. When SIH2 dimer encounter an S protein, one of its faces bound tightly to one of the 3 RBDs on the S protein trimer, and the other face bound to an RBD from the different S protein. This cross-linking helped to block this virus entering into cell, human cell. And this is going to be helpful when, let's say, there is blocking, then there will not be replication of this virus in the human body. तो ये इम्पॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट हो सकता है, एंटीवायरल ड्रग आगे चल के इसको कमर्शियली डेवलप किया जा सकता है. ओके, देन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ पेट्रोलियम एक्सपोर्टिंग कंट्रीज, ओके, OPEC. So yes, it is in news because we know the oil prices, crude oil prices are very high at present. Yes, it is permanent intergovernmental organization created at the Baghdad conference in 1960 by 5 founding members: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. Okay, first of all, these were the 5 members. Later on, the other members were added. At present, there are total 13 members. You should remember the members of OPEC. Every year, UPSC is asking one question related to international organization and its members. Like yesterday, we can see the question was asked on the organization of Turkic states. The year before that, there was question on G20 countries, right? So in addition to these 5 founding countries, later they were joined by Qatar, Indonesia, Libya, the United Arab Emirates, Algeria, Nigeria, Ecuador, Gabon, Angola, Equatorial Guinea and Congo. Now Ecuador suspended its membership in 1992 and rejoined OPEC in 2007, but decided to withdraw its membership again in 2020. So at present it is not member, Ecuador. Okay, headquarter of OPEC, earlier it was located in Geneva, Switzerland in first 5 years of its existence, but this was moved to Vienna, Austria in 1965. This is also important for prelims examination. Now what are the publications? World Oil Outlook and Monthly Oil Market Report. So these reports are published by OPEC. Now non-OPEC countries which export crude oil are termed as OPEC plus countries. जो ओपेक के मेंबर नहीं है तो कौन से ऐसे कंट्रीज है? यस, अजरबैजान, बहरीन, ब्रुनई, कजाकिस्तान, मलेशिया, मेक्सिको, ओमान, रशिया, साउथ सुडान एंड सुडान. Okay, so they are also members, they are not members of OPEC and that's why they are called as OPEC plus. Basically these are total 10 countries. So OPEC plus 10 countries are called as that we can call it as OPEC plus. Okay, fine. An ocean in the sky, that is the title in that page number 6 of magazine supplement in Sunday's newspaper. And this article is written with the context, let's say the Jabarwan Hills near Srinagar in the hill range in Khonmau. So there are fossil let's say remains of marine life millions of years old. The Guriul ravine in Conmore is said to have witnessed one of the largest mass extinction events 252 million years ago. Okay, so basically that event is called as Permian Triassic extinction event, which is popularly known as Great Dying. Great Dying. Okay, what happened here is when the Indian plate started drifting northward towards the Eurasian plate and created Himalayas, the water drained off rising land and exposed the aquatic life. We all learn about continental drift theory of Wegener when we learn about tectonic theories in geography. What that theory suggests is the Indian plate is moving to the north, and the Tethys Sea was present between Indian plate and Eurasian plate. Later on, the tectonic theory explains the formation of Himalayas, and let's say in addition to that, geosyncline theory is also there. This Tethys Sea acted as a geosyncline. As it was the geosyncline, it was having the sedimentation and the marine body, narrow channel, narrow, shallow and mobile waters were there, and they were having marine organisms. So what happened when the Indian plate continuously moved towards Eurasian plate? The sediments started folding, and because of that, what happened is water receded. The present day North Indian plains are considered as the remnants of that Tethys Sea. Basically those sediments got folded and they are now the Himalayan ranges, parallel ranges. That's why we see marine life or marine fossils in the Himalayas. Okay, so this is important from geography section. Now, what should be answer to this question? Yes, so it is talking about the OPEC organization, organization based questions. Every year UPSC asks about like international relations में जो question होता है. About OPEC, it was created at Baghdad conference in 1960. This is true, this is correct. Its headquarters is located in Geneva. At present it is not located in Geneva. In first 5 years it was located in Geneva, but it was shifted in 1965 to Austria, Vienna in Austria in Europe. Okay, so it is incorrect. Then World Oil Outlook is published by OPEC. This is, yes, one of the publication. So answer should be 1 and 3 only. We have to find the correct statements here, right? Okay, so yes, if you have any questions related to the different, let's say, videos that we are providing or the analysis we are providing, you can ask in the comment box. Along with that, let me tell you that now prelims examination is over, and those who are preparing for mains examination, at Lukmaan IAS we have started the GS mains test series along with essay test series and optional subject of public administration, geography optional and sociology optional subject. Okay, those who are having these optional subject or those who want to let's say join GS mains test series also, they can inquire about this test series at Lukmaan IAS. Fine, thank you.